Long before they knew how Iron Man would even perform at the box office, the company made a bold business decision. They would shoot 2 films simultaneously. So, with Favreau and Downey working on the first Iron Man film in Los Angeles, the Marvel team set up shop in Toronto to begin their next superhero production.
It's always intense making 2 movies. There was more pressure because if The Incredible Hulk didn't work, Marvel Studios wasn't going to work.
Co-created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, The Incredible Hulk first roared into the Marvel Universe in 1962. And like most Marvel characters, this superhero was different, right down to the color of his skin.
I thought I'd give him gray skin, but the printer had trouble with the color gray. On some pages it was dark gray, on some pages light gray, on some pages it was black or white. So I thought of another color that wasn't being used at the moment. I said, we'll make him green. And the printer had no trouble printing green, so that's the reason he became the Jolly Green Giant.
The Hulk's story centers on his alter ego, Dr. Bruce Banner, who'd been exposed to a high dose of gamma rays. When angered, Banner transforms into a powerful and out-of-control creature.
Hulk smash!
It's just one of those characters that's just so pervasive in the society, and that everyone knows, you know, whether you're 90 or 90, that you get Bruce Banner angry, he's going to turn green, he's going to turn to the Hulk.
Banner, he's a nice guy that's troubled. He didn't want to end up in this situation. He's got a gigantic rage monster living inside of him at every turn that could pop out any second. He's a rich, great character.
In bringing the Hulk to modern-day movie audiences, Marvel wasn't afraid to adopt what worked in the past.
We wanted to go back to the broader sense from the comics and really the fugitive-type manhunt structure of the television series, which was just brilliant. Was a great structure for the Hulk. We wanted to get to that, and we wanted to, frankly, have more fun and have more action this time around, and really deliver the Hulk that we thought audiences wanted to see.
For director Louis Leterrier, the Incredible Hulk film presented an opportunity to explore the intricate details of the lead character's search for inner peace.
He just had such the right attitude and such the right idea of fun, of smashing, but at the same time, he could direct actors, and he could tell performances and tell a more emotional story. And with the Marvel films, they're never going to be primarily about action or about effects. A large portion of it will be about that, but it has to be about the characters. The characters can't get lost within the spectacle.
When we find Bruce Banner at first, he's had a few Hulk outs, but they weren't controlled, and he didn't remember what happened. But like, slowly throughout our movie, he's going to learn that maybe that monster within him is something that can do good. That's good, yeah. Great. So it's quite nice if you keep on moving.
Okay, and you're real tight on me then, right?
Yeah.
Louis thinks big. I mean, he really does think big. He talked about using handheld cameras a lot. He talked about the visual experience be dirty, and by that, he meant not always, perfectly composed. That there's a sense of chaos and horror film aspect to it, and I liked that a lot.
Hulk itself, or himself, the creature, performs a lot of heroics. He's never looking for trouble, on the contrary. He's kind of naive and childish, very childlike. But society is egging it on, and he's trying to stay away so he doesn't harm anybody.
You don't have to do this, please. This is insane.
Betty, I've got to try.
We wanted to come up with a design of the Hulk that stood up to sort of the high-def screens that most people are going to be looking at this film on nowadays, and that was inspired directly from his most famous incarnations in the comic books.
I realized that it's no easy job to be the Hulk.
Starting with the university sequence, it's the first time that Betty Ross comes face-to-face with the Hulk. And in that scene, Liv had to walk across an empty field looking at a stuntman with a giant backpack that went up to a two-dimensional drawing of Hulk's face. You're not going to mistake that for Hulk. You're going to mistake that for a stuntman with a big rig on his back with a two-dimensional picture of Hulk. It is a tough job to be able to pull that off.
We were trying to get a whole shot for like the university sequence. Throwing footballs at each other, running around, screaming, our weapons advisor shooting guns in the air, just to get them to react a little bit. Nightmares.
I don't know, what do you think? Can we roll on this, guys?
It was definitely a work in progress from the beginning to the end of how to create something for us all to play with and respond to, you know?
Turn around, and when you turn around, that's when you get in your full height. That's when you spread it open, okay?
Originally, I was going to be being carried by an actual, like, mechanical arm. And then at one point, it was going to be a huge man. And then they came up with this brilliant idea of having the two guys, because the Hulk's width is rather large.
By putting all of the pieces together, a terrific story, a wonderful director, a really compelling cast, you're able to create a film that's on everyone's must-see list.
I was very proud of that movie. It fits in a little bit more with the Hulk from the comics, with the Hulk from the TV series, with a Hulk that we could envision sharing a screen with some of our other heroes down the line.
After 2 ambitious productions, Marvel was ready to present a peek of Iron Man at San Diego Comic-Con in 2007. The mission was simple: win these fans over, and you're on your way to success. If the footage failed to engage them, the film may never recover from the bad publicity. The pressure was on.
We drove down to Comic-Con. We were very excited, had some good footage to show. We believed in our movie, and we opened up the front page of a local newspaper, and it says, "Marvel rolls out the B team," which was a little deflating at that time.
We wanted to show people that their superhero was in good hands, and we took it seriously, and we were paying attention to the source material.
All right, who's ready for Iron Man?
The film itself wasn't finished, was beginning to take shape. But it really came down to John and I, our editor, our other producers, sitting in the edit room going, let's look at what, let's look at the scenes that we have. What should we lead off with? A moment of him suiting up, an image of the gauntlet, an image of him flying through the sky. And we landed on what we knew would become the core essence of the movie, which was not the suit. It was Tony Stark. It was Robert Downey presenting himself to the military and his weapons presentation. And I'll tell you, after that 4.5 minutes and John walked off the stage, the crowd went crazy. I was there when Brian showed X-Men 2. I was there when Sam presented all 3 Spidey films. I've been in that giant hall when the crowd goes crazy. Nothing came close to what that reaction was after Iron Man.
Should we play it one more time?
Yes! What? Okay, let's play it.
Let's do it. Can we see that one more time?
Now, later that day, the tide would start to turn, and people would start to be very curious about this little movie called Iron Man because of the great reaction that it had in that room. It started there. It started in that room.
Released on May 2nd, 2008, Iron Man would go on to be a smash hit. Marvel had struck gold, creating a film that captivated moviegoers from all walks of life.
The biggest compliment we could get on the first Iron Man film was, wow, I don't usually like movies like that, but I loved Iron Man. And what the people are really saying is, oh, it wasn't just explosions and special effects. I cared about the characters.
With the success of their first Iron Man film, Marvel had established itself as a major player in producing high-quality motion pictures. And as one of Marvel's most popular personalities, perhaps it shouldn't be surprising that the Incredible Hulk proved successful with critics and audiences alike. And for fans who stayed until after the credits, both films offered a glimpse of the ever-expanding Marvel Universe.
By the time we got done shooting Iron Man 1, we brought in Nick Fury, we brought in Sam Jackson for a cameo for an afternoon to say,
Mr. Stark, you become part of a bigger universe. You just don't know it yet.
When we contacted his people, we were like, we need him for half a day. And I think we did that half a day in the first picture on a Saturday. No one was supposed to know. We didn't even let him walk from his trailer to the set. We drove his car onto the stage, parked it next to the set. He got out, went right onto the set, did his thing, got back in the car, drove back to his trailer. We were so convinced that no one's ever gonna find out. It's gonna be such a secret. It is so on super duper lockdown, but it was so cool and such big news that by Monday, it was all over the place.
Who the hell are you? Nick Fury, director of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh.
I'm here to talk to you about the Avenger Initiative.
And that moment really was like, hey, we can actually bring this thing together. We can make this big universe happen, and people are gonna go crazy for it if we do it right.
Smell of stale beer and defeat. You know, I hate to say I told you so, General, but that super soldier program was put on ice for a reason. I've always felt that hardware was much more reliable.
Stark.
General, what if I told you we were putting a team together? we.
So again, peeling back the onions, the layers of the Marvel Universe, is what all these movies are doing. And certainly Tony is going to be a big part of that through line. It opens the door to the rest of the Marvel Universe that we're going to explore in our subsequent movies.